Hey folks, welcome back. I'm Kirsten and this is Casey's Book Corner. Today I am reviewing a thriller book by C.J. Cooke called I Know My Name. So, pull up a chair, get comfy, get cosy, grab a little drinky, and we'll get on with it. So C.J. Cooke is an author that was recommended to me on Instagram a few weeks ago. I have never heard of C.J. Cooke, but this was on the back of me doing a 15-second review of a thriller book that I had read earlier on this year. So I was like, sounds like an interesting author for me to look at. So I basically did a little bit of eeny, meeny, miny, mo on Audible and picked the book that I landed on. I didn't really know anything about it, but I didn't know anything about the author, so I figured I would just dive right in there. And this is the book that I landed on, and I'm really glad that I did. I now have an entire new author on my list of people I want to read all of the books by. So, good choice. Very good choice overall. Let's chat first of all then about the author. So C.J. Cooke was born in Belfast, but she lives now in Glasgow. So she's kind of a local gal to me, I suppose. And yeah, so she has been writing pretty much since she could write. And she's published, I think the current count is around 15 or 16 books, which is tons. I can't believe I've never heard of her before now. She's also got a really keen interest in mental health and trauma and motherhood and how these things can influence or be helped by the creative writing process. So yeah, some really interesting things that have kind of put her along the path that she's on and that inspire her writing. So yeah, really interesting. Cannot believe I've never heard of her. But yeah, 16 books, that means there's 16 books on my TBR now. So here we go. Let's get into this one. So basically the premise of this book is that a woman washes up on the shore of some island just off the coast of Greece. She washes up on this island and has no idea who she is, where she comes from, what has happened in her life, nothing. Memory is entirely disappeared. She washes up on this island. There is a group of creative writers who are on like a holistic sort of retreat to help them with their creative writing process. They rescue her and she's trying to get her memory back and figure out who she is and where she's from. And then on the flip side of that, from the other perspective, a man called Lachlan, his wife goes missing, leaving his toddler son and newborn daughter completely stranded. She just disappears into thin air. Surprise, surprise, the woman with no memory and the missing wife are the same person. That's not a spoiler. It's pretty clear that that's where that's going to go. But anyway, he is needing to find his wife. He's got the police involved. He's having his entire life picked apart by the police to try and figure out where his wife is. And this book basically follows both of their journeys to finding out what on the hell is going on. Character-wise, Lachlan, the husband, was a super relatable dude. He is flawed in so many ways. He is one of those workaholic husbands who knows way less about his wife than he maybe thought he did. So his journey and the arc that he goes on, the self-discovery and the kind of rediscovery of what he loves about his wife and his relationship, is a really cute little story to follow, to be honest. I feel like even though he's not technically the main character, he went on a journey. This took him. He went through the ringer. He got spit out, chewed up, thrown about, and comes out the other side, or tries to anyway. I really liked him. He was super relatable, and yeah, he was a great character. Elle is the mystery woman with no memory. So we intentionally don't really know much about her character from her perspective, because she doesn't know anything about herself. She's ballsy and she's brave and maybe a little naive at times, but you don't really get any other clues. That's intentional. The only other clues that you get as to her personality are from Lachlan's perspective, as he's trying to figure out where his wife went. So she's interesting, but quite distant in terms of character. Very intentional and very well done. You've then got all the side characters, particularly these creative writing people that are on the island that Elle washes up onto. They've all got very distinct personalities. They all kind of serve a purpose for Elle. We don't know too much about them, particularly to start with, but things do start coming together towards the end. And I also really did like the interactions between Lachlan and Elle's grandparents while Elle's missing. There is an undercurrent between the three of them that just, you can feel the tension between these people without too much needing to be said. Obviously, Lachlan is under a microscope by the police, and people are being very judgy of him and his life and how he has gone about his business in the past. And that really comes to a head in those interactions with Elle's grandparents. It was super, super interesting. The only other thing that I would say is that there are references through flashbacks of a childhood that is not particularly pleasant when it comes to men. So be warned of that. There is nothing explicitly said. It is through inference, but I think that makes it a little bit more, makes it more creepy that the inference is there through these flashbacks. So a little bit traumatizing from that perspective. So just be aware of that. It surprised me. I wasn't expecting it to go that dark, but it did kind of go that dark. So there's your little heads up for that. Everything came together really, really well at the end though, and all of the characters played a very, very key part in it all. So overall, I gave this book a solid 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I listened to this one on audiobook too. I think the pacing was really great. I really liked how the two characters were kept pretty much entirely separate throughout the book. They both went through their own journey of self-discovery completely independently of one another. I really did like that. It was quite psychological, really quite creepy in parts. They were, that self-discovery journey took you in a few different directions that you're not expecting. The big reveal, I think there's enough clues through the book to kind of give the game away. I had it figured out quite early on, but it was still quite satisfying to get to that conclusion. I also felt like the end was a little bit incomplete for me. It just it felt a little bit, that final chapter felt a little bit rushed for me, but it was really, really good. And this author, CJ Cooke, you are now on the top of my list of people I need to catch up on all their books of. So that's going to take me a while, but I am very much looking forward to it. But yeah, great comfort thriller book. So if you love a thriller, if you love something that will just keep you ticking along with a good book, a solid story, and a nice, satisfying twist at the end, get this book added to your list too. And there you have it, folks. My review of I Know My Name by C.J. Cooke. Definitely enjoyed that book. If you have read any other C.J. Cooke books, let me know what your favourite was so that I can bump it up my list and hopefully get into it as soon as possible. I'll be back again on Wednesday with another review. I've not quite decided what I'm reviewing. I will probably do the same as normal and decide on the day. I probably should start maybe planning out my week, but well, keeps it fun. Anywho, like I said, I will be back in a couple of days' time. Give the video a little like or a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I would be really grateful. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me today. Happy reading, and I'll see you soon. Cheerio!